Night of abuse behind bars at prisons statewide, including Fishkill Correctional Facility, where several inmate deaths have resulted in lawsuits against the state.
News 12's Blaze Gomez has our exclusive report.
While authorities continue to investigate the death of Fishkill inmate Joseph Clarke,
I've watched several guards kill inmates, stab them, throw them off the top tier.
A former inmate from Newburgh is coming forward to News 12 with his own allegations of abuse by corrections officers behind bars statewide and at the same facility.
I was hurt and beat up several times. They can hide anything. It's very easy to doctor reports.
Jackson isn't the only one coming forward after our report on Clarke, whose death is being investigated as a suicide despite his mother's claims that officers were trying to kill him.
They taunt him.
This Newburgh woman says her boyfriend has been beaten by officers at Sing Sing and that they broke his hand during one alleged incident last October.
He told me they told him, there's no cameras back here, so it's our word against yours, and who's going to believe a criminal?
This Slate Hill woman says her husband was allegedly assaulted and left unconscious in solitary confinement in April by corrections officers during intake at Dannemora.
They escorted him to somewhere where there's no cameras and beat the living life out of my husband.
Representatives for the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision tell News 12 they are aware of the women's claims and that the incidents are under investigation. They say Jackson filed a complaint for harassment against an officer in 2003, but are unaware of any of the other incidents he alleges. Jackson says inmates are afraid to report abuse out of fear of retaliation.
The grievance process is very tricky because once you file a grievance on an officer, you open up the door to the abuse. They can transfer you anywhere at any given time. To where? Don't worry about it. You get put on the bus, you get sent to a facility, then you're unable to make phone calls, you don't get visits, they stop your mail. They control your living in there. They control everything about you in that prison.
Paul Harrington is a former Fishkill corrections officer who retired in 2018 after 20 years at the facility.
There have been a number of occasions where I was told to change my paperwork because it didn't really set the tone, I guess, if you will, with the other reports. And that's from the watch commander on down. He
sat down with News 12 ahead of his tell-all book release this month about alleged violence, corruption, and drug use at the prison in Dutchess County.
There are a lot of loopholes there. There are a lot of areas where you can do things where it's not even seen. And most of those areas, even up until today that I'm familiar with, do not have security cameras.
News 12 uncovered an alleged connection between Harrington and Jackson during months of interviews for this story.
My last spot was Fishkill Correctional. It was absolutely horrible. So there's a guy, this officer is one of the worst officers that you could ever meet. His name is Paul Harrington.
The same Paul Harrington behind the book, Justice or Not.
He mentions you as one of the people that he said mistreated him. Do you remember that inmate?
I do remember him. I don't know if he wants to use my platform with my book coming out as to get his word out, but I don't recall anything at all with him, so I'm very surprised about that.
Harrington says he was one of several officers there when Fishkill inmate Samuel Harrell died during disputed circumstances in 2015. That case was one of two wrongful death lawsuits in the same year that the state settled. Reports show DOCCS paid millions of dollars in 2019 to settle claims from prisoners beaten, including a reported $450,000 payout to one of 24 victims in 2015. DOCCS representatives haven't commented on these lawsuits, but say violence against inmates is not tolerated and allegations against their officers are taken seriously. Blaze Gomez, News 12.
Well, a representative for NYS COBA, the union representing state corrections officers, declined to comment on the allegations.